Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Office 365 to work with Word documents, PowerPoint, Excel, and save to your OneDrive account on shared iPads. Now, if you have the Word apps and the other Office 365 apps already downloaded, what's important is that the students do not open these apps and sign in that way, or they're going to connect that sign in and it won't disconnect when they hand that iPad off for another student. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Safari and I'm going to go to login.microsoftonline.com and I'm going to create a shortcut on the home screen to this so that the students can easily access this website. So login.microsoftonline.com, and I'm going to click on the little square with the arrow up by the URL, and I'm going to add this to the home screen, that plus sign at the bottom. And I'm going to make this something a little bit easier for the students to look for. So I'm going to call it the O365 login. And then I'm going to press the add button, and that will add this little icon here on the desktop of the iPad. I'm going to hold that down. I'm going to drag that into an Office 365 folder down on the dock that I have all my Office 365 apps in. So you can put that wherever you think would be most convenient for your students. So when a student wants to work on a Word, Excel, PowerPoint document, they're going to go into that login option, and they're actually going to log in Safari to their Office 365 account so that they can make that connection to OneDrive, and when they open up the apps on their iPad, it will allow them to save to their OneDrive account or email their teachers if they wanted to the document. So what this first usually takes me to is my email, but I'm going to go down to the bottom where there's a little tiles window to let me select different options within Office 365. And inside Office 365, I'm going to get this Office 365 button down at the bottom that has the ellipses, and I'm going to click on that, and it will give me a window of choices. And if a student wanted to work on maybe a Word document or Excel, what they're going to want it to do is to save to their OneDrive account. So I'm going to start in OneDrive. And I can open up some of the documents that I already have inside OneDrive, or I can start a brand new OneDrive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an example one that I've already started. And inside the Edit Document option, I can edit it right here online, or I can go to the Full Word app. And I'm going to open this up in the Full Word app. And what's nice is it's going to open up the app, but I'm not going to connect to my Office 365 account. So when I hand this off to another student, it won't have my connection in the Word app on this iPad. I can go in and use some of the tools that they have inside the Word app. I'm just going to make a quick color change, something that's noticeable. And then when I use the arrow up at the top, I don't even have to save it because up in this second icon, the autosave is already turned on this iPad. That's the default. So I'm going to use the arrow to close out of that. And it shows temporarily on that, but then it disappears so that that document doesn't stay on that iPad. And now I can go back to OneDrive, and I can close this out and refresh this document. And everything that the student would have worked on the iPad at that time is saved up to their OneDrive account. And they have some options. They can share it, they can send it to their teacher if they wanted to, or give a link and then email it to their teacher. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to close out of this sharing option. I'm going to go back into OneDrive by clicking on my name up in the black bar. I'm going to try this as a new document. So maybe the teacher asks them to create something new. So I'm going to click up here back to my little OneDrive where it has OneDrive Omaha Public Schools. And I'm going to make a new document by going down to the bottom where the little plus sign is showing. And notice there's these three little dots here if you wanted to sign them out. But I'm going to make new. And this time I'm going to do an Excel workbook. And in this I'm going to click, first maybe I'll name this here so I have a good name on here. So I'm going to call this my Excel sample. And I could work on it up here in the internet version, or over on the far right, right below my name, it says Open in Excel. So I can select Open in Excel. And it's going to generate the Excel app that's loaded on the iPad. And again, because I started in OneDrive up on the internet, I do not have to sign in. So if the students are just entering in some basic data, they could do that right there in Safari. But if they're going to do a little more sophisticated items that you need some of the tools here, then you can have them open it in the full version. And I'm just going to add in just some basic numbers here. And let's say it's time for our class to be done. So I'm going to, again, notice it's auto-saving up there. So I can use that arrow to back out of it so that the next user doesn't have to see it. Once it's out of there, I know that that upload has been complete. And I can go over to OneDrive and it's going to be saved in my OneDrive account. So this will work also PowerPoint, OneNote. But what's really nice about this is if you have iPads that are being shared by many students, this is the workaround to make it work so that nobody has their Office 365 account connected to it. Now, one last step that's really important is that the students are going to need to sign out of Office 365 before you're finished with the iPad so that the next student doesn't have it when they go into Safari. So I'm going to take myself back out of this document by clicking on my name. And let's say you have a class for 45 minutes or you're done with the iPad cart that your class is using. You'll want to make sure that the students, before they close out, sign out of Office 365. Okay, I hope that helps you with understanding the best way to handle this with shared apps. Have a great day.